Before this episode starts, I just want to let you all know that we're going to take a week off of the podcast as we are adjusting scheduling times for recordings as we want to get more people on the show. So we will be taking a week off and returning to normal uploads the week of the 10th. We don't have a release date yet, but that's when we will have everything out. I'm guessing a Thursday or Friday release, so your next episode's either going to be on the 13th of October or the 14th of October, one of those 2 days. And that one will cover NetPlay Superstars predictions as well as we talk about later on in this video. So enjoy the podcast for today, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dingers and Discourse podcast. This is episode 16, where we talk about Maury's Dingus draft. We talk about the MBA Cup, Stars on Showdown, Big Balla, NetPlay Superstars, and the Mario Superstar Baseball Community Feedback Forum. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dingers and Discourse podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Mario Superstar Baseball. This is episode number 16. I'm Raviannn. You are joined with Clutch 1908 and HellzHero. How we doing?
Doing pretty well today myself. How about you?
Doing
Clutch?
good. Hells, are you ready for an absolute bomber weekend coming up next week with a couple of huge tournaments for the scene?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to actually big tournaments happening again after a bunch of little ones.
And let's shoot right into that. NetPlay Superstars 12, Big Balla. These are the two tournaments I feel like everyone's flocking to nowadays. NetPlay Superstars being the longest, I believe, running tournament concurrently.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I believe.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Everyone's all about NetPlay Superstars. If you are not signed up for that, start.gg/MPSS12. This is a Stars Off tournament hosted by Little Cokes and I myself, where it's a normal Stars Off tournament following the ranked rule set, and you verse the top competition to become a NetPlay Superstars champion. It is the highest prestige in the server, in my opinion. If you win that NetPlay Superstars, you get that role. Everyone's grinding for that. And as well as another thing you can grind for is the Big Balla 4. That's also happening the same time, I believe.
Just before, I think.
Just before. So NetPlay Superstars is October 7th through the 16th, and I think just before it's October 5th it starts?
I think it starts that Wednesday. Is that the 4th?
Yeah, that's the 5th. The 5th is when it starts. So from the 5th all the way to the 8th is going to be grand finals, I believe. So...
Well, it really starts the 4th on Tuesday Night Baseball, where Baltimore is going to do another seeding stream. So if you're in that tournament and want to be seeded highly, you do have to come argue for your seed. I say that kind of jokingly, but I also say that kind of seriously. Like, come have fun, come hang out. And that is the most subjective seeding we do in this tournament, or in this server. And it's a fun time. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Joe learned the hard way last time that records don't mean anything for Big Balla seedings.
You gotta fight for your life, man. And I heard giving a sub to Baltimore as well helps your seeding out
never
too.
Hurts.
Never hurts. Oh, and also, I guess if people don't know, because I haven't listened to the podcast or I haven't seen the Discord, new payout format. You can buy into the tournament for $5 optionally. You can still sign up for free and be eligible for the first, second, third place prize. But if you buy in, there is some side pools. There is just a straight raffle. There is biggest upset that will be voted on by the participants or the community as a whole, I believe. Best pitching performance and best hitting performance. So you can win any four of those pools if you pay the $5 buy-in.
Yeah, I think
definitely sign up.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea just to have that. You know, it adds a little bit extra incentives in here. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in any of the tournaments. You know, people have floated the idea of paying for a tournament, but I believe we've been too lucky for too long with cash prizes for no money entry. So I think this is a cool little idea that Baltimore added to the tournament.
And best part is it literally is not tied to being one of the top players. Like, I know one of the biggest reasons that people say they don't want to pay in is, well, I'm just donating to Remke. But, like, you know, when we have creative ideas like this that Baltimore put together, it really opens up for anyone to have a shot at it. So I think that's the best part of it all.
Yeah, it's definitely a different type of functionality for the tournament, but I feel like it works perfectly. Because I get it, if you're going to an in-person event, you're paying that venue fee for the TOs and the venue you're going to and everything and all the production, so it makes sense. For online tournaments, not necessarily. I mean, there's still the TOs and productions, but it's all in the online scene. You're not really paying a venue fee. So I feel like for this type of stuff, just giving it back and putting it into a little prize pool for anyone to win works out perfect. So I'm all for it. Keep it going, Ball Tour. Is that going to be it for that portion?
I think for the big ball, I do say I think I'm really excited for the next NPS 12. I wasn't able to participate in 11. I know a lot of people were busy for that one, but this should be a really good event, and I think that we'll have some definite storylines for it. I don't know who's all signed up for it yet, and I'm sure a lot more people will pour in right before the deadline, but definitely want to see if, we can see if anybody else can repeat. If Cactus comes in it, I'm hoping me and him can compete for the first triple crown for NPSs. And also, I think one of the questions is, do we see a new champion? And with one of them, do we see Remke as finally getting an NPS?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the weirdest thing, that Remke hasn't won an NetPlay Superstars yet.
Yeah,
like that just blows up everyone's mind, because everyone's like, oh, Remke is the person that wins all the tournaments, but like, hey. You never know. A lot of rising talent. And I feel like if anyone plays enough good baseball, you can win it. We'll see you then. We're going to play 12.
Yeah, Remke wasn't at the height of his reign when MPS 10 happened. He got upset on a crazy Hammer Bros slap hit in a wild game that it's got to be on YouTube somewhere. So if you haven't seen that game before, watch it. I like you're talking about the old guard of, does you and Cactus have a shot at 3-time championship or new, championship? The storyline I want to look for is everyone calling MPS 11 a Mickey Mouse tournament. Do any of the top 3 people stand a chance in MPS 12 now that all the big dogs have come back? Can Boomer show that his championship was not a mirage if he's playing? I'm sure I know I've seen Poke in that board. I know he's going to be gunning for a top spot after, coming just short. And then there's myself who, I've only moved up every time I've been in MPS. It was no pools to 6th place to 3rd place. So I'm not looking to go any lower than top 8. So I think that's a huge storyline to see. Did people really get lucky with people being gone, or did some of these people really improve?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to Clutch, towards the finals. I would love to see you win the tournament or any new player take it on.
I'd say tune in next week to the podcast. We're going to talk about our NetPlay 12 predictions. That's a big ticket thing. So tune in next week for that one. I know a lot of people got some opinions for that one. We're going to move on here. We have some tournaments that are in motion still, being Starzon Showdown and the Super Mario World Baseball Classic. Those are still rolling through, finishing up soon, so we should get updates for those. Like we like to do it once the tournament ends. So probably in the next episode or the episode after that, we'll get those in full swing for the results pages. But something that just started we can talk a little bit more about is the MBA Cup.
Yeah, so ended up having 40 plus strong on the NBA Cup. I had to change up the seating a little bit. I know usually I have like that opening round that's like really close seating. Just the way the numbers doesn't work, I need to be 50 plus to do what I normally do. So instead, I just said go play a seeding round, and the people that win will get to start in a better spot, and the people that lose are going to start in a slightly worse spot, and then we'll go with the tournament from there. So seeding round is in full swing. Round 1 is going to be starting up, and the biggest thing that I want to talk about is at twitch.tv/clutch1908. If you're interested in watching sets of Mario Baseball, because usually people throw up a stream, it's just one game at a time or things like that. Every Wednesday, I am gonna try my hardest, and it'll be pretty much every Wednesday during the NBA Cup, to stream a set a week, at least one set, if not 2. So I'm going to be looking for people for that. So if you're in the NBA Cup and listening, Wednesdays are your day to get showcase. And if you're looking for cool Mario baseball on a Wednesday, that'll be going on. So definitely tune in, and I'm hoping it's going to be a really fun time.
Definitely looking forward to it, Clutch.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea that you're getting that stream on, because I know with the last NBA Cup, it was great when people were in, the Net Play General and they were posting their games. But if you weren't able to see it, you just had to watch that, just see how the scores were reported. So I think it'll be really good to have it on your stream, and then, when boomers like me have to work late, I instead can watch it on better hours for me, or watch it on the weekend. So that'll be actually really nice to have.
Yeah.
And plus, you're not competing with Tuesday Night Baseball of the People's Champ Ball Tour.
Yeah, I kind of avoided, Tuesdays are that, and Thursdays are Riley if you're really interested in that guy. So, I just made him pay 30 gifted to his chat because I scored 15 runs on him. So that was a thing too. Yeah, no, but anyway, so yeah, Tuesday Night Baseball, go check out that. Riley on Thursdays, me on Wednesdays, and other people in between.
Yeah, another thing we could talk about is this legit just got posted as I'm talking now. Minigame Mondays 2, Bomb Derby. It's going to be 8 p.m. on the 3rd, which is going to be Monday. So you have 2 days to sign up from when this comes up. It's going to be on Start GG. Bomb Derby is the game mode. Hit it up. Definitely a different game mode. Seems hype. It looks like Buff Cat is going to be doing it by himself now. So sign up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that we just had the first minigame Monday, which is a cool little game mode. The idea is get people to do a little bit different things. We have all these formalized tournaments, but having a mini game one is, I think, a really good idea. We had it before with Thanners Bananas even did his own version of a mini game. So I think that's anything that gets more of the game in the community, and they don't have to be a big 50-person tournament, but even these little 8-10-person tournaments, as long as people are enjoying it, I think it's a great idea that we keep having them go.
And speaking of minigame money, we even talk about that. I feel so rude for not doing that. This one just happened last Monday. It was Barrel Batter. Chris Tosi took it on top, 4-1 for wins, so one losses. Anyone watch that at all? I didn't get the chance to take part of that.
I saw clips later, and I was actually warming up with Toasty a day or two before the tournament. I was just having some fun because I was bored. And Barrel Batter is super complicated. I think it's just just time it up, whatever. But it's okay, I got, a really bad pattern right now. Where do I need to hit it so that way I can try and put together 5-6 red or blue or yellow barrels together? The bomb barrel is coming. Where are my barrels dropping so I know where to look to pick it up as quickly as possible? Because that ball keeps just going really quick, and it's about getting in a rhythm. And it honestly looked really cool. I hope that more people show up for minigame Mondays coming forward, because I don't think it's as gimmicky as people think. And I actually think the minigames of Mario Baseball might be the most skill even, because it's all about you. What can you do against a pretty consistent computer thing, versus when you're playing actual Mario Baseball, you're playing an opponent that might be way above your skill level, and so it's you're kind of already at a disadvantage. So it's all in your hands. And so yeah, I'd check out Bomb Derby on Monday, and Barrel Batter looked really cool.
I think I did tune in a little bit because I was doing some other stuff for homework stuff. I was grinding it out early because I'm still making Net Play Superstars assets and stuff for the stream. I usually do a week or two beforehand, but it looked fun. I'm always a big fan of Barrel Batter. Me and Krasy played a hell of it in a bunch of Discord calls when it first got introduced. So I hope that was a lot of fun, and it seems like a lot of people had fun. People making some big runs, and shout out to Buff Cat and Cokes. Sign up the first one, and Buff Cat, good luck to you on the second one. I hope a lot of people sign up for the Bomb Derby one. It's definitely a different one. I don't know if it's gonna have as much popularity, because I think Barrel Batter is the number one game mode within the community. I hope people sign up for it. Bomb Derby, still a hype game.
I was gonna say I'm still excited when we get to Piranha Panic. Is truly, I think that's what it's called. Piranha Panic is the one where you have to throw it into the right colored piranhas. That's my favorite mini game all the time.
All right.
I have fun with it. I'm curious if it'll work because you're going to have to play that on fair input delay. Can't do host priority because that would just be too unfair. And there's not a way to do golf mode because obviously everything's interacting at the same time. So I hope it plays well over net play. I know the initial rotation is probably barrel batter, bomb derby, and wall ball because those are all the auto golf mini games that are enabled right now. But I know the other ones are out there, and I don't think there's really a way to do golf mode. So I hope they play well because they are fun.
They are.
I hope. I don't know if they're gonna do like actual like 4-player toy field is like part of the rotation as well. That would also be a lot of fun.
Ooh. Hell yeah, 4-player toy field. I liked watching the Dinger City streams for those.
Yeah, like imagine like I'm not trying to like TO here, but like I feel like you do like randomize the matchups, do 4-player games and take like first and second place and then just kind of slowly like eliminate the bottom 2 in a game and just get down to like a final 4, and then the winner of that final 4 is your toy field champion.
Oh, I'm not going to make the rules for that one. We'll see how it goes, but I hope it happens. More unique stuff in the community is sick. Not just baseball. You have the little mini game formats now, and it's a nice, refreshing taste. Speaking of a refreshing taste, we have Maury's Dingus draft, another weekly tournament he's hosting. I'm all for it, and it's a different type of tournament. It's the Paragoomba draft. So it's a bid on the number of Paragoombas you're willing to take, and then as soon as someone passes, whoever wins the bids adds that many Paragoombas to the team, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
a lot of Paragoombas.
It was you got the number of Paragoombas, and then you got to take that many consecutive picks in a row. So, if you take 4 Paragoombas, you get four Paragoombas, then you get to make 4 straight picks. Your opponent gets, then it goes back 1-1 until you have 9 players, and then the opponent gets to pick the rest of their team. So it was a really interesting idea, and basically trying to figure out what is the correct bid that you think that you can deal with, because Paragoombas are going to be pretty dead spots in your batting order, but is it that worth it to get a bunch of picks at the beginning? And I thought this was a really fun little idea, and even more, he's starting to incorporate some of his previous tournaments in it, where you could play at Mario's or you could play at Hazardless DK Jungle, because he had the Hazardless DK Jungle tournament before it. So it was a really cool idea, I thought. I think I got home like 20 minutes after it started, so I wasn't able to participate, but I did get to watch a little bit of it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm all for this. Fun little mix-ups. I wish I was more involved in the tournament, like playing, but that's just not my character. I'm more of a LAN player myself, so I kind of don't get like the itch to do it, but as a spectator, I'm all for this. It seemed fun. Poke Bunny taking it 3-0, making a clean sweep, 14-2, 13-4, 6-3. Second place, Maureen tied for third, Bacon and Big Nick. So looks like a lot of people had a lot of fun, and I'm all for it. And you can sign up for his next tournament, which is apparently going to be, from rumors, Peach Garden Hazardless.
That's the one I'm truly excited for. I think the last time I was on the pod, I was talking with Clutch about that, but just the idea of throwing it there and just nerfing home run hitters a ton will be a fun one. And I think we saw some theory crafting in the DK Jungle Hazardless one as the tournament was going along. People were starting to realize things, starting to realize who to star hit with that you normally don't star hit with, and even draft orders. So I think Peach Gardens will open that even more. Are we going to see Bowser be strong? Are we going to start seeing the Bowser slappies instead of actually charging? So I think it's a great idea for a tournament, and I'm always for new and interesting things.
Well, let's move on to the viewer comments. You guys all for it?
Let's do it.
All right. We have a comment from Caesarito. He says, I like the idea of centralizing things. In my case, I found out about the server through Riley's TikTok, so I definitely support spreading things out in terms of content creation with different creators, while also having a central hub can most certainly make it easier to send people to X location for more info. We can obviously share community clips and highlights and such on those channels, as well as always be able to @ the channels from both sides to help both the server and the individuals succeed. I know I haven't really heard of Dinger City before the server, and I do watch them, but that's not why I'm there, so separating the two wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea, as they both are trying to fill two different roles in one server. Outside of that, more collaborations with non-Mario Baseball affiliated folks is always a plus. Smiley face.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I thought this was a really cool idea. This is the follow-up to T-Blink's comment last week about, if what we do, how we bring more people into the server, even the talking about how, the potential of Dinger City becoming its own Discord server and kind of the net play becoming its own Discord server. And I think that there's obviously positives and negatives to each side. I think that it's really cool even seeing from Caesarito was just like the idea that he came from Riley's TikToks. Like I think that's not one of the main ways people got into this server. Most people got here through Dinger City, or through other means. But I think that was a really cool way he got in. But I think I can speak more on the old heads here. I joined a little over a year ago, so about like a year and 2 months. I think it was June of 2021, and everyone was here through Dinger City. Like there was no other way people got in at that point, and there wasn't really many other outlets. So now we see, such a thriving netplay community. Like we used to have netplay superstar tournament and then a stars SOS tournament every once in a while, and that was it. Now I'm seeing, we're seeing multiple small tourneys a week. So I think that it may be the time, if anything, that it could be a possible branch out between the two. Because I know myself, there's a ton of channels in the Discord I don't go in. I still watch the Dinger City videos, but I'm not an active participant in the chats there. So I think that's a really interesting idea, and it's a really cool thing to see the newer perspective. Just because I see how this server has evolved so much over the past year and a half, and I've heard even more so for the people who were in it before, in the dark days of golf mode, before when they were just figuring out golf mode. So I think that it's, I'm hoping that this game continues to grow, and I only hope for the best of it, and I hope the best for the Dinger City guys because they post great content. But I do think that separating things could help both, as long as the whole time we do know that we can interact still together. It's not once the two Discords separate, the it doesn't end everything where you can't talk with mom and dad anymore. So yeah, I quite agree with some of Caesar's comments there.
Hey, I'm so happy that we have this community now. I feel like to have it where it's at now, we had to rely on a way to like a barrier of entry. That area of entry was Dinger City. I feel like now we kind of have to grow up though, and since we do have a established community now, we go under that community name as people in the community are showing off what we can really bring. So I'm all for Dinger City, but I think it's time to become a butterfly and fly away.
Yeah, we gotta leave the nest at one point. One other thing I thought was really cool was just like even the idea of like how we do get more people, and I do think, as you said there, like if we separate, we can specialize, and I think we've seen just such big influxes from before, the action video, and the Foolish Bailey, but now we've got to find different ways to grab people and hold them. And, I thought that this community with, COVID kind of helped it grow because, a lot of us were inside playing video games. I was concerned that, as things, people started getting out more and life was going back to quote unquote normal, it would die. So I think that people here are still committed and devoted, and it's just getting the word out there and finding other people who have just the same love for Mario Baseball.
True there. And sorry.
I was just thinking while listening to Hellz talk about that, like if we were to split off, and we've talked about it, Dinger City is great for the content they do, but they have a different vibe versus I think the audience that we haven't hit. We've hit the nostalgia bait of who played the game as a kid and who really liked it and who wanted to play it again and pick it up. I don't think we've done a good job of hitting the esports side of what we are now with NetPlay. That's what we focus on. We focus on being a competitive esport, and we don't really brand ourselves that way because our entry point is still dominantly Dinger City at the current moment. Or if you're able to see an MPSS stream, might be your like two best bets right now. But we have the people now, and we have the content creators that are focused strictly on, how do we break this game down competitively, and how do we explain it, and how do we show people that there's a level of depth to this game that is interesting to learn and interesting to compete in. And I think that's the huge key going forward is how do we brand our marketing to basically be an esport now, because I think that's your next audience to tap into. And so I find it really interesting that Hellz brought up the great point of, COVID kind of built the scene a little bit. And I wasn't even thinking about it because when I joined, we were coming out of COVID, but I could have seen a huge drop off because of people returning to normal life, and it just hasn't happened. And so I think that's awesome. And I'm glad people are still interested and people still want to make time in their busy lives for this game and this community. And so, I'm just really excited to see where we can go and where we can grow. And like I said, there will never be a time where we don't cross over, but it was very apparent at the Dinger City meetup. And actually, now that I've thought about it, like makes me want to split up more is there were people there to hang out with Dinger City and say hi to the boys and like have a good time and share in that community. And there are people there that wanted to beat each other's throats in and play some Mario baseball. And so it was kind of serving two purposes. And I think going forward, there will be separate opportunities for both fan bases to have what they want.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter what, we still have that crossover. You still have the guys who, the Dinger City guys who still play in these tournaments, or, they played in NCL League, and you still have that back and forth because there's that competition always. There's the Dinger City guys want to claim that they're the best in the game, and the net players want to prove them wrong. And we've seen that crossover with Jason, Mr. Joe, Crit Nick has joined a few. The Wonder Bear himself has even shown up a few times, so I think it's really cool to have that crossover. And definitely, if you specialize your server, I feel like you can just do so many more things because, as you said, Clutch, you're hitting that audience. You're hitting the people here in this group that they want to continue playing and they want to be competitive, and we can tailor things towards that more. There's a ton of people in this Discord right now. Like, I don't even know what our numbers currently on the Mario Superstar Baseball Club server is, but like I remember when it was a couple hundred and I could read through the messages every day. Now I can keep up with maybe one or two groups a day because we're getting thousands of messages each time. So it's great to see the growth, and I'm very intrigued to see how we continue to grow it through specialization.
Now, this is like the biggest time in the community that we need to hear your voice. Shout out to Cheebling and the moderating crew over in the Mario Superstar Baseball server. They have put out a little poll that you can fill out by joining the Discord server link down below if you're not already. And heading over to the polls chat, there is a ping there by Cokes, but the message is from Cheebling stating that, hey everyone, please take a few minutes to complete this survey below in order to make sure everyone is having fun and we continue growing the community. The moderators and admins of the Discord are hoping to gather all your feedback on a variety of topics, including future net play events, ranked rule changes, meetups, and etc. So there is a lot to dissect from this. You guys want to go and start off? Talk about this?
Yeah, I think Clutch, you can start us off on this one.
Yeah, so I know we talked ad nauseum in the podcast last week of, Ravi and I talking about things we would change or things that we want people to, critically think about. And Teebling was awesome and gathering a lot of those ideas and putting them down to paper. Some things that have been talked about in the Discord previously. I can say that I got a first look at it, and Ravi and I were able to give some input as well. And I will say that there is enough eyes on this that this was really well put together, and I think it's a great survey at capturing mostly what people should be asking for and what people should be giving opinions on. And obviously there's things that you may feel very strongly about that the Discord should be doing differently that you should still very much, direct at admins or moderators are bringing it up as discussion as a community. So, but I guess the first thing that was brought up was the type of events that people wanted to see. There's a large variety here because we've just had so many cool ideas recently. Hells, what events on this list are you especially looking for more of if you only had to pick like one or two?
So I think a number of things. Like, I like our NPS schedule right now. I think that's a really, I think it's a good steady pace we have for it. I think if you do things too often, their value kind of gets diminished. So I'm okay with that. I've been liking the small things. I've been liking, Maury's tournaments I thought have been really cool. So I would love to see more ideas like that. And worst comes to worst, these ideas happen. And if they're not successful, people go, you know what, that wasn't that fun. Then you just don't do it again. So I think that's a really good one. One thing I want to get into playing is I have never played a thing of triple play. So I know that I've seen that around. And I think that would be a fun one. I've never done it before, but it's something that I think is really cool idea because it's, the idea of like an NCL draft and then in a quick format. So I think that's really good. And other ones I think you're going to have ones that come around based on events that occur. So, a lot of these new net player tournaments is really good if something has a spike in the scene. So, a video comes out from something, or, we see an influx of players coming in. Those are the times that we want to push that new net player event so that people can feel welcome in the community and feel like they have something to compete in quickly. So I think that those ones are hard to pretty much predict, but I think that that's a great idea. And finally, I want a crew battle. I think that, if we're doing East versus West, we're doing different places. If I got to find a Canada crew and, me and Nooch and I can recruit whoever else on the Canada side, I want to go for it.
Yeah. I think you're spot on with new net player events like Rookie Rumble. I think has to be tied to when there's a large influx and kind of just as the demand, calls for it. I really like what Sam N is doing with minor leagues right now of giving a platform for newer players to schedule games within new net players instead of kind of like hopping straight into the queue and things like that. So as there's less demand, there's that. And as there's more demands, we can put together a tournament, which I think is awesome. The other thing that I want to see more of, Triple Play did not get its time in the spotlight. It kind of like got lost in a bunch of other things. So I hope Sam brings that back. We saw it to finish season 1 of Triple Play League. But that's a really fun one. I think Triple Play is going to be one of those formats that I don't know how much we do on net play. Like, I think we'll do it constantly enough. But if we start having more in-person events, I heard that Poke did a like NYC local kind of thing at his place, and they did a Triple Play that was like super fun. And I think that is like the perfect thing for a meetup because you can play with 5 of your closest friends that you see at the meetup or get to meet new people and kind of like interact in person versus like having to like do the draft over at, a net play channel. So I think that is something that could grow that. The last thing that I'm really looking forward to and like to see more of is the unique challenges. I don't know what Thanners has in the pipeline, but I want the follow up to Thanners Bananas. I had so much fun doing that, even though I only like grinded it out at the beginning. So something else like that. I think those are the things that I want to see more of. I agree wholeheartedly with the major schedule. Netplay Superstars being a short term, really close. I know NBA Cup feels like it's all the time, but like I promise you, it's gonna be like 4 times a year because it's gonna take up 3 months at a time. So that will be only so often as well. And then Stars on Showdown. I think if it can like alternate in between Netplay Superstars and kind of fit in there, I think that'd be the perfect major schedule.
In my opinion, things I would like to see more, as like I'm more of like a spectator, I would say, not the player. So from a watching standpoint, I do like that triple play thing. I feel like a big thing that we're missing is the LAN events, but that's so hard to coordinate, and that's more of like a person stepping up and doing more than they need to help out the community. I know myself, I host a LAN event with my friends. And I do that like it's a bi-weekly thing. That's just a pain in the ass itself, just for like my friend group. So trying to get a venue and host a sign up page and pay the venue and get people to pay you to help out for setups and stuff like that, it's just a pain. So shout out to Dingus City. I think they want to do that every month. That is so sick. But I feel like it takes more than just having it in New York. You gotta start popping up venues in Michigan, in Illinois, in California, in Texas. These big ticket cities, Florida. These big ticket cities that have a lot of like I would say melee players. I'm just saying that is because that's another like big LAN scene. You start mixing into those, and it pops up a bunch of new players. And then they have a local scene. They play with people they get to know. They make a community. Bam. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm also looking for that triple play stuff too. I'd be sick too as well.
Now, I think one of the next questions I think is one of my most interesting ones. Was it brings up like there's a couple ones where it's where we change events and what we do to them, and I think we'll see how answers are going forward. And do you think there's an overload of tournaments? I don't think there's such thing. I think that's mostly if you think there's too many, don't sign up for them. But I get how some things can get lost. But my most interesting one was, do you think the standard 1-2-1-1 draft should remain? And I like how even there was multiple answers to that. I expected the question just to say yes, it should, or no, go back to Nolan. And those are two of the answers. But I think like the idea of yes, but allow Bowser to be captain. Even the one I've never even heard of before was no, we should try 1-2-2-1-1-1 2-2-2-2-2-1-1. Like the idea, like that's just it's complicated to me, but I understand that it's to balance things a little bit better. But I just think it was a really cool idea how we have all these options, and I know myself, I chose the Bowser clause to be removed and keep this 1-2-1-1 because I'm a big proponent of change and just see how it works because I thought that 1-2-1-1 would be worse than 1-2-2, but I wanted to go for it because I think that it's a cool idea. So I think the idea of changing Bowser captain will open up. I think a lot of people have never seen it in Stars Off. Like people are just so used to Bowser is your captain every time. I think it would throw people off completely. So I think it's a cool idea.
Definitely a mix-up. I definitely would like to see someone other than Bowser as a captain myself. I've done it with my friends. We did a classic league and not a classic league, just a normal like I'd say Dingus City league where you have each person face each other a certain amount of times, or just you play as many players as you want to, just rank up a record, and then that determines your seed. We had it so Bowser wasn't forced captain, and it added a lot more variety. We saw a lot of Wario captains, a lot of Luigi, Mario, even some like Peach captains because they wanted to try it. I mean, it was just something, and it was definitely fun. I liked going Wario captain and just trying doing like a cheesy triple or double. It was fun. So I'm all for that. Remove the Bowser force captain.
Yeah.
How about you, Clutch?
I think my vote was keep it just as is because I think the numbers are pretty like good, but also we've talked about that numbers don't always tell the full story, and you got to look at specific subsets of data and like win rates compared to normal win rates, things like that. Anyways, I'm starting to have people glaze eyes over, I'm sure. So I think the Nolan clause getting removed would be so interesting, especially with how PD Bro has been an uptake. Because the problem with PD Bro then is you already have Bowser locked in as your captain. And so now PD Bro has how many captain choices? Even if you counterpick Birdo, they could still go Mario captain or Luigi captain. But if, that's opened up for you, well, then Birdo's a snap pick. And now you got Birdo with Bowser. And so, yeah, you don't have Bro behind Bowser, but are you going to walk Bowser into Captain Birdo and, then Birdo starts hitting doubles on you with the egg? Like, I mean, that seems like a lot of fun. I don't know if it's more balanced, but that seems like an awesome team building idea. I agree with Hells. I love that we have other ideas because I think we all know that the whole idea of changing drafts was not to be different, but it was to add some variety and also have balance. So I think we have no problem if we decide to change drafts for the sake of variety, as long as it's still as balanced or more balanced than the previous one. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the one sign, I know that Clutch, you're Mr. Numbers on these things, and I am very much Mr. I do numbers at work, not for Mario Baseball. But I think that the one idea that I always have is, in the old Nolan draft, how many people actually picked second pick willingly? And I think the number was super low. And I think we're seeing again now with this 1-2-1-1, how many people are actually choosing first pick. And I think that's even if the first pick wins the game when you pick second pick, right now there's definitely a perceived imbalance between second and first pick because everyone is choosing. I don't know the last time I've seen a coin flip where somebody didn't choose second pick. So yeah. I think that's an interesting one, is that just everyone's doing it because they all feel that it is an advantage, no matter how small, but they all feel it's an advantage.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, is that I think even though that second pick is the go-to, I think there's actually room to go elsewhere with it, versus Bowser was always the 1P. I still think there is some worlds where, depending on your playstyle, PD Bro is not the pick and it's Yoshi PD still, for how that, kind of gives you some diverging draft lines. So there's still way more variety in 1-2-1 than there was in 1-2-2, which I think is awesome.
I think we see the different, especially in the middle of the draft, is really cool seeing the differences now. I can't predict a draft line like I could with Nolan, so I think that it's changed up some things for the good, some things for the worse, but I think that's with every change, and I'm always excited for change with it.
Yeah.
Now,
anything else you guys want to talk about on this?
I just want, even the next, I know, Clutch, you said a lot of minds were on this document. I thought that it was just a really cool idea. Even like other questions I didn't even think about asking, like things like ranked ladder resets, I thought was a cool idea to try and get community opinions on it. And the idea of why we are, I know we briefly already spoke about this, but why we're seeing fewer net players overall. And I think it does cover most of the reasons. But even the one question was like, what do you want in a Stars On ranked rule set change? And again, I think there's like 8 answers or something. Again, it's a really cool idea, and you can click even a few of them for what you want for Stars On ranked rule set. I know the moment that we start putting in, picks and bans for things, I'm going to be playing that game mode more often, whether that's Stars On or Stars Off or, whatever game mode it is. So I think that it's cool ideas, and even, we're calling out debates that we see cyclically in the general chat. People always talk about how long a Stars On game should be, and we need to change it. People talk about the draft needing to change. People want to talk about stadiums all the time. Instead, we've put it in one form, and the best way for people to get their voices out there isn't to just yell at the clouds anymore. It's we have a form. So I think that's, again, if you're listening to this and you haven't filled it in, fill it in. And if you don't complain if things get changed that you don't like.
Hells, I got one more question I want to get your opinion on, because I think we have two very differing realities between you and I think this question will be really interesting. What do you think should be implemented for rewards for playing ranked games? What would make you play more ranked? Because, man, you're a hide C, everyone knows it, but you're like 12th on the board right now because you're just not playing ranked. You're just playing tournaments, I guess. What were your ideas for rewards for playing ranked games?
So, first of all, I don't need the disrespect. I think I'm in top 10 now. I did play an extra game or two online. I think I'm like number...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just pulled up. I'm number 8 now. So me and Cactus are next to each other, who are also two of the... I have 12 games and he has 9 games, so fitting that we're next to each other.
Yeah, the fact that 12 and 9 games gets you in top 10 in this tells you how good they are. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, so I think that I had trouble with it because I think one of the main things, and it kind of, again, touched on earlier, is the season I played the most ranked games was season 1, and that's because there wasn't any other thing. Like, I joined the scene, and it was 3 months until an NPS happened. So what else was I going to do to play games? I was going to play on the ranked server. Like, that's all I was going to do. And then when a tournament came along, that was fantastic, and it got me those games, like, got me more games on it, but that's all there was, and then you had to wait another 3 months. Now it's, I can join Maury's tournament on Tuesday. I can play a couple Stars on Showdown games on Wednesday. I can join another tournament. So I don't think that I'm playing that much less Mario Baseball at this point. I just think that I'm not playing in the ranked format always, and it's tough for me for what would force me to, because I don't want to ever say remove other tournaments, because I'm having a lot of fun with that. And you know, I think that it takes away some of your ranked fatigue people can have. You know, I love I'm a big fan of the bot. The matchmaking bot I think is so good. It's always really fun, the matchmaking bot. I find at the very beginning of a season, because again, it randomly puts you against people, so people can't just, you know, some people feel like people are only hunting games that are easy for them or avoiding games they think are going to be hard. So I love the ranked bot. It's tough because a lot of the time I've sat in that ranked bot for 15, 20 minutes and then decided I was going to play a different video game instead. So it's tough for me to say, but I don't think that the number of games solves exactly what it used to solve. It used to solve was how much you played, and it was how many games did Matt Gree play, because he was always our resident grinder. So I think that it's different now, and what would make me play more? I don't know. I don't know if like a reward system. I come from League of Legends, so it's not like you can give me like a plat thing, and there's no skins in Mario Baseball I'm gonna earn at the end of the season. So
yeah,
I don't think there's anything that's gonna force me to play too much more, but I just think that, you know, especially if we have tournaments that cause more of these ranked games, it's going to push me up there. So after NPS, that'll probably, you know, if things go well, that doubles my games played, roughly.
Right.
And that's what happened in Season 2 a lot. Season 2, we had a lot of tournaments that were on the ranked bot. So I think that inflated, I think maybe half my games were because of tournaments. So, yeah, we'll see as we go along.
I think creating badges for Discord is a super simple way to like give some credence to where you finished last season. So like, you know, like I thought about it, and it's like new net players, like they come into the scene and we're starting to grow to the point that it's like you don't know who the dogs are. Like, you know, we got our top people, but then like, and then we even got that second tier that I think people know pretty well and, you know, come to know pretty quickly. But like, what's after that? What's like right under that? Like, it's still really good players that like give the top 10, 15 a run for their money when they play, but I don't think you really know them when you first hop in. So if they got like a badge that says like A tier from the previous season, and you come to learn what those badges mean, you're like, oh, like this is a really solid player, you know, things like that. My recommendation was no longer doing a full reset for anybody above like A or S tier, because this is a selfish thing, but I also think it helps with the health of playing ranked at the beginning of seasons and wanting to go for the leaderboard is starting like A tier players at like 1600 elo and like S tier players 1700 elo. Because like I played Krasny twice really early on in season 3. I beat him twice in a game that would normally give me like 20-25 elo because of the differences in our elo. Normally gave me like 5 because we were both at like 1500. And so like that was awesome. It felt good to me. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But it's like also like, man, think of how many people played Krasny and they like lost 15 elo because they're both at 1500 elo right now. Like it. So I think that could be really interesting. I don't know if anyone else does it, but like ladder systems, you don't usually fall all the way down to the first rank of the ladder if the ladder resets. Usually there's like 5-6 tiers and you start on like tier 3 or 4, so that way your grind back to the top is not as long because you have proven from the previous season that you don't need to go through the lower ranks to get up to the top. So I don't know how that can be implemented. I don't know if it makes sense to implement it, but I think that's something we could do too to help with like making people feel worth it to play ranked games early. Because otherwise it's kind of like, man, do I wait for kind of the volatility to balance out a little bit and then I come in and play my ranked games after it's calmed down a little bit? I think having a system like that might bring some more hype to the early season games.
Yeah, I think that soft, I think it's known often as like the soft reset for ELO
Yeah.
or soft reset for rank. And yeah, I know that even we've talked about that before about, you know, is there a way? And we've just decided, just play it out anyway. So
Right.
I think it's a cool idea. You're right. I think I was only 4 games into my season and I played Remke and he was already, you know, 50 games in and he's like, losing to Hell sucks right now because he's like, if I win, I only get 5 elo, but if I lose 50 for somebody who normally, you know, it's a swing of 5-7 points either way. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think that can be discouraging for people to not want to play against certain people, which is why I love the ranked bot. But I do agree on that side with the soft resets.
And to be very clear, anyone under 1500 should not start lower than 1500. Like there's how many people that I can think of that were probably in D or even F tier last season because they like just joined and like got beat up on and like they fell really hard and they kind of got hot at the end of the season, but that still meant they were stuck in FD tier and then they started at 1500 and now they're like A tier players. Like I'm thinking of Wob as one example. Like he was a solid C tier by the end of last season, but like he's top 10. Almost cracking top 10. He just beat me the other day after I've been really hot. Like that's exactly the kind of things that I don't want to prevent. So to be clear, the idea would be rewarding people at the top of the ladder, but everyone else still gets that fresh reset that they deserve at the, you know, turn of each season. That definitely needs to stay in. And honestly, it makes it easier for them to not fall so far in a ditch if they get matched up with like top 10 players right out the gate.
Mm-hmm. Like we have all said, there's definitely lots of change to be done. This is not cemented in stone yet, and this is your time. What you think about in that form, because it's for the future of the community. Anything you guys want to add on before you end the episode today?
No, I've just I think it's really cool everything that, you know, the mod team does or people care about on this server. You know, I know I'm a person who basically plays games and participates a little bit in other things, but I think it's really great what people put into it. You know, you see things like, you know, Raviannn and all the work he does behind the scenes during big tournaments. You see, you know, the mod team constantly try and make the server a better place and, you know, implement things that'll be greater for the health of the game. And the place is night and day from where it was before. You know, I think that we're a much better community and, you know, we're fostering more new people. We're allowing people to come into the game more easily. We've got great resources now. To me, new net players have never been scarier with all the resources they have. But I think that it's something I'd love to see the continued growth of, no matter which way it takes place.
Watch, anything to add?
Fill out the form. I'm sure when we get the go ahead, either because the results are fully released or whatever, I'm sure we'll talk about what people want to change because I'm sure we'll have some context and some dissection to talk about what the community voted for.
That's going to be it for this week's episode of the Dingers and Discourse podcast, episode 16, powered by Mario Superstar Baseball Project Rio. Download that if you have not, if you're getting this and you're recommended. We appreciate you staying along through this whole hour-long episode. It looks like to be at this point. If you would be so kind to rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave it a like, whatever. It helps us out so much. If you have any discussion for us or any questions you'd like to ask us, leave it in the comment section of the YouTube comment section, and we will answer it next episode. I'd like to thank Clutch 1908 and HellzHero for joining me on the mic tonight and discussing this podcast. And as I always say, adios and goodbye. Thank you for watching the Mario Superstar Baseball podcast. If you enjoyed this one, you can look at the other one that will be right in front of you right here. Yes, right in front of your face. Make sure to watch that episode. I'm not lying. Please watch that episode. It's right in front of you. Just click the goddamn button.